Welcome back. This is episode 3 of Terp Trends, and I'm having more fun than ever and have some really good episodes in the works I'm stoked to get out. Next week's drop, and I may be the director of cultivation from a well-known Pennsylvania grower processor, which I know a lot of Pennsylvania patients will love to tune in for. My line is always open to anyone that wants to join the Terp Trends community. So if you are on the East Coast, reach out at terptrendspodcast@gmail.com or DM terp_trends on Instagram. Big shout out to Brown Bag Farm Goods. For anyone who missed last week's episode, we dive into the world of genetics and breeding with a homie of mine, Brown Bag. Be sure to check out his website, brownbagfarmgoods.com, and use the discount code TERPTRENDS, all one word, to get 10% off. He even has categories broken down and one specifically for hash makers. So go check that out, brownbagfarmgoods.com. Now for this week. Get ready to fire up your taste buds and ignite your curiosity as we welcome a true culinary innovator to the Terp Trends podcast, Marco Antonio, aka the CannaBBQ. Coming from the vibrant West Coast, now I know, Terp Trends is all about the East, but once you start listening to this guy, or if you've already seen his content, you'll understand why I had to get him on here. Marco is not your average innovator. He's a culinary maestro who has masterfully merged the world of barbecue with cannabis, creating an unforgivable fusion of flavors and experiences. From infused sauces to mouth-watering short ribs he talks about, Marco has elevated the barbecue game to new heights with his infusion of cannabis. Marco's talents don't stop there. With a background in videography and cinematography and an unwavering passion for the plant, he's the brains behind the CannaBBQ, a venture that celebrates both gastronomy and cannabis culture. You can catch him serving up inspiration and delicious delights on Embers TV, YouTube, Instagram under the CannaBBQ, and TikTok at Woodfire and Whiskey. Join us as we dive into Marco's journey, exploring his creative process, his love for barbecue, and his dedication to showcasing the magic of cannabis-infused cuisine. Get ready for a sizzling conversation that will leave you hungry for more. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention, he may or may not be Batman. Guess we'll never find out. This is Terp Trends. Let's dive in.
What's up? How's it going, man? Thanks for having me on, number one. I took a few rips of my Puffco a little while ago, so just bear with me a little bit. Um, I guess to give you guys a little bit about, who I am, where I'm from California, born and raised in the Bay Area, California. I live in the Central Valley now. I make food videos online, and I've made cooking videos since 2020, end of 2019, early 2020. I started off under, a different name than the CannaBBQ. I was Woodfire and Whiskey. There's just one night during the pandemic where I'm sitting out at a fire, right? Got a bunch of wood in there, sipping some whiskey. I'm smoking some weed. And I decide, I want to make a YouTube channel. I'm going to call it Woodfire and Whiskey. And, I started making videos from there. I always wanted to make cannabis videos, but I was just kind of afraid to because I know how these platforms work. I don't want to work hard just to lose something, you know. But here we are, 4 years later, after posting my first video, 4.5, almost 5 years later, and I've switched my accounts to be more cannabis focused and do something I'm really passionate about, which is my munchies. Whether my munchies are after I've smoked or the munchie is what's smoking me. Um, it just kind of felt like the right time to jump into this. Uh, yeah, it's been about 5 years making food videos, and 2024 is the first year that I've been focused on cooking with cannabis and making edibles. And my approach is like, I want it to be fun because edibles are fun, right? When people think of edibles, people think they're just going to get ripped out of their mind. They're just going to laugh their ass off and eat like 10 bags of chips or some shit. So keeping that in mind, I like to keep my videos fun. I have fun with cannabis. Sometimes it's a very serious thing. I'm in pain. I need some CBD. That's a little bit different. But when I'm trying to have a good time and have the munchies, you know, um, sometimes I don't want a gummy bear to do that to me. Sometimes I want a pizza to do that to me. And I think it's just kind of cool cooking with cannabis because you could
Oh
see,
yeah.
the different things that you could do with it. Playing around with the milligrams and dialing in dosages for people. What I love is feeding people, knowing that I'm not going to completely obliterate them. You know,
Yes.
when you watch my
And
videos, go
I
ahead.
love your video. And I think that's very important too. A little side note, if you aren't familiar with edibles, I'm sure you have heard a story of someone that maybe overindulged in some THC, or maybe that brownie or that treat their buddy gave them wasn't properly, dosed right, and it does lead to some horror stories. But I will add, if you do have a proper dose of cannabinoids that are going to interact with your body in the way they should, it is a pleasant time, and you will have an enhanced experience. And I think it's just another way to properly consume cannabis. And in my mind, it's one of the healthier ways. If it is all clean food, all clean product, um, which I think is great that you take into
If I'm
account.
cooking for myself, and in my videos, I'm dosing for myself. So what I'm making is very high THC. What I'm making, my tolerance is around 100 milligrams minimum with an edible. Sometimes 200. So when people watch my videos, I hope they understand. Like I'm dosing for me, which is why I never say, okay, this sour diesel hot honey, I'm putting 50 milligrams in. I don't want to do that because if you're gonna make this, and I teach, how to make honey on my YouTube. If you're gonna make it, then you're gonna put what level of dosage you're at. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm cooking for somebody else, I'm gonna be very careful because I don't want to lose friends. And I definitely don't want people. I don't want people going around saying, "Man, that fucking CannaBBQ guy, he stole my soul. Fuck that guy." I don't want that. I don't want that. If
Yeah.
I'm dosing for
Or they don't
myself,
even remember the experience.
yeah, they're gonna forget it. So if I'm dosing for myself, no problem. It's I can take it very far. So I got a comment a few days ago on my videos of somebody asking, "How come you don't measure this? Why don't you do this?" And it's like, well, because we're all different. So I'm not going to tell you the exact milligram that I'm putting in my food for a reason. I don't want to encourage you to go out and make 1,000 milligram pizza and share it with one person. You know, I don't want that. I don't want that. Now, if you want that for yourself, have fun. Have fun. Go do your thing. Just know it's going to be a wild ride. So if I'm cooking for other people, I'm very mindful of the dosage. And I like cooking with hash for that reason. With hash, you can dial in the dosage damn near perfect. Damn near perfect. Now, unless you're testing, the infusions you're making, you really have no idea how potent it is. You have a guesstimate through a little bit of math, and you can go from there. I have this thing called a T check, so I can put my oil and my butters in it, and it'll tell me it. A lot of times I'm about,
Oh wow.
yeah, a lot of times I'm about maybe 20 to 50 milligrams off of the total dosage. I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm assuming from what I'm reading online
Yeah.
and everything, but it gives a good idea and indicator of where you're at. Oddly enough, the T check is $420.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool. And I know when I used to work with dispensaries or in stores, especially on a medical state side, we would work with the doctors and also the patients, and we actually came up with how to kind of dose, you know, just an equation that you can do. And I know that there are plenty of those online as well now that will kind of break down an average of cannabinoids to
Yeah.
what percentage and everything like that to milligrams. So I do encourage people to definitely take advantage of that and take advantage of this T check, which I would love to post more about because I haven't even heard of that. So I'm loving that I just learned something new when it comes to edibles and dosaging.
Yeah, it's cool. It's something that cooks like myself can have in the home. Because again, dosage is very important when you're cooking for people. If you're cooking for yourself, experiment on yourself. I'm not, your body, your choice, buddy. Do whatever you need to do. You want to go to the moon, go to the fucking moon. But your cousin your friend, your neighbor may not want to go step on the moon, you know. They may want to go into
Yes.
low Earth
Yes.
orbit, you know. So I encourage people
Exactly.
to, look at the different calculators online, or get, invest in something like a T-check if you're going to cook at home for people. If you're cooking for yourself, I guess just do the math and you should be fine.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I think the coolest thing about this is usually when you come across some cannabis infusions or edibles, you are coming across more of like a baked good selection, a candy selection. Newer on the market, we kind of have these syrups that you can get, obviously tinctures and capsules. But what I love is you're not doing that. You want to incorporate barbecue.
Yeah.
So what led to that realization of one, obviously you have to have a love for barbecue, and two, that love for cannabis. What epiphany or something happened to merge these two ideas together with you?
So, my food content has always been barbecue. It's always been barbecue. About 80% of my content is barbecue. 20% of the time I'm cooking inside using my oven and shit like that. But I have a passion for barbecue. I love it. I've collaborated with a team of guys to create a streaming platform around barbecue. And in doing so, I've gotten to travel all over the country and to other countries. I recently went to Argentina to film a short documentary for the Embers TV platform. And I didn't think I was going to get any weed in Argentina, but damn, fucking open fire pitmaster brought some weed, and we were sitting, we were smoking together. So what I've learned about cannabis and barbecue is there's so many pitmasters that do smoke weed. It's just there's a stigma around it, right? Where people put more acceptance into alcohol than they do a plant that's so much safer. So people are afraid to be open about it. People are still, I mean, in Texas, right? Barbecue country, it's illegal. So of course people are going to be hush hush about their weed, you know. But still, because of the way that alcohol is viewed, and it's family friendly, which is wild, right? Alcohol is so family friendly, but weed isn't. So the pitmasters, they don't pull that weed out in front of everybody. They're still going off to the cuts to smoke. Man, you could smell a drunk from a mile away. Like you could smell a pothead from a mile away. But one is accepted as family friendly and the other isn't. So, me being wood fire and whiskey, I love my bourbons. I have a huge collection of bourbon, but I love my cannabis. I had my first smoke when I was 12 years old, and it's been like that. I've been smoking since I was 12. I had a short stint in my life where I didn't smoke, and that was while I was in the Army. That's it. It was 4.5 years. But cannabis has always been a part of my life. And with barbecue being a part of my life, and the realization that all of these pitmasters smoke, cannabis and barbecue go together just like whiskey and beer and barbecue go together. So it's just time to marry the two. Now, what I do want to say is I'm not a chef. I'm just a guy in his backyard that loves to cook. I'm a stoner that loves his plants, and I have so many jars of weed. Yeah, it's just who I am. I'm not a chef, but I do know how to cook, and I'm going to get out there and I'm going to use my knowledge of cooking and cannabis, and I'm going to put them together, and I'm going to teach you what I know. I say I'm not a chef because I don't command a kitchen. I've never commanded a kitchen, never ran a kitchen. I believe the title chef is for the people that run and command kitchens and groups of people cooking. I'm a home cook. But cannabis and barbecue, it's tasty, man. It's tasty. I mean, imagine you're sitting there watching the game, right? And you just grilled up some wings, you tossed them in some barbecue sauce, and each wing is like 5 milligrams. So you have three of them. Let's say 15 is your limit. That takes you to a good place. That's a good time. That's a good time. I've seen drinks now, cannabis and mushroom infused drinks that people can sip on in,
Hmm.
in place of in
Hmm.
place of beer. I think cannabis is just around the corner from being as accepted as alcohol, as family friendly, because it's not harmful when you understand the plant, right? So
Yes.
cannabis and barbecue, there's a natural uh love there between. I mean, it's food. It's food. So when I'm stoned as shit, brisket, mm, jalapeno cheddar
Yeah.
sausage, you know shit,
Hmm.
I might hit up my boy Big Big's barbecue in town here later, because fuck, dude, I got the munchies, you know but
Yeah.
it just goes
Yeah.
together.
No, it does go together, and it goes together so much that in our bodies we have a cannabinoid receptor in our stomach. So it only makes
I
sense.
did not know
You
that.
know, it don't yeah, it only makes sense. That's the CB2 receptor, and that's going to be kind of more outside of our brain, more in our stomach area. So we actually do have things in our digestive system that do interact with cannabis. Which is great. Another enhancement of this beautiful plant. I don't think we have alcohol receptors. You know what I mean?
No, we have a sponge called the liver, and it doesn't like it. You know,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. What I love seeing is obviously your content, but another twist you do is all these like ASMR videos and product reviews. Is there anything that goes into your mind when you are creating something fun and entertaining that you concentrate more on, or do you just kind of take a hit of something and let it flow?
you know those whispering videos where I'm Batman. You know, that I like to look at. That's my easy content.
Yeah,
That's the content that's not planned out or anything. It's like, you know, oh, I'm gonna order some crumble cookies today and get stoned and just eat them and talk. So it's that thing where I could just turn on the camera and just say some shit, and people are entertained by it. And it's wild to me.
I'm entertained by it. That's what led me to get you on the show because I was like, man, this guy's great. He makes me laugh. I love the food content, and if I can get people on here to share that, so other people can indulge in that happiness, that's the goal.
It's fun.
So that's why I brought. Yeah, yeah, it is fun. But then you said that's your easy content. So what goes into making your hard content?
So like today, I pulled out some short ribs, and I have a ton of pizza dough. For some reason, when I'm like feeling not down or just unmotivated, I make pizza dough.
Nice.
It's fucking weird, but I have a ton.
That's cool therapy.
It is, it's there's something about it. I make like 12 doughs, and I put them in their glass containers and everything, put them in the fridge, and for some reason it's like therapeutic to me. So I pulled out some short ribs, and I have a ton of pizza dough, and I had this idea last night to make a short rib pizza. So I went on to Pinterest and started looking at pictures of people making short rib pizza, the different toppings they put on, just to get some inspiration. So today, after this pod, I'm gonna go get the short ribs on the smoker. I'm gonna smoke them for about 4 hours, get them nice and tender, pull them off, shred them, build a pizza. So what goes into it is there's more than one camera. So I'm usually shooting with about three cameras. I got multiple lights set up, but those lights are my setup in my kitchen. It's been like that since 2020. It's been set up
Nice.
with lights and cameras, and my wife is cool with it because this is how we make the money, and it's just what I do now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, man.
it's two to three cameras. It's the length of the cook. Afterwards, I got to capture all the footage, start syncing it all up and editing and everything. So there's a lot that goes into it versus when I do the whisper videos because I just turn on the cameras, I eat some edibles, I wait for the food, I eat the food, talk about it, I'm done, I capture it, and I start cutting it up. Like it could be done and up within an hour.
That's impressive. And that's way more entertaining for your hobby because something I am noticing, me being new to the creator realm in the digital space and a podcast, is editing and making sure you have the crispiness that you want. That takes some time, even for something short. And I'm trying to learn, is it already good and you need to walk away? Have you ever ran into that problem where you're staring at a project and you're just kind of thinking to yourself, is this the final one that I want to release or is there something missing?
I don't want to say I've lowered my standard over the year, uh, but I definitely have a process and idea of the shots that I need now. So I set everything up for that, and I just go for that now. So as you go along, you'll develop that process that just it works. Then it's finding the way to put the personality into it and everything. I'm a cinematographer. I've been a cinematographer since 2009. Well, I was a videographer in 2009. As I got better, I became a cinematographer and worked on projects that would deem me a cinematographer, I guess. Fucking documentaries and short films and films. I shot a whole documentary on California's water issues. Got to direct and edit that. So I have a background in video already before going into all of this content creation, which, back in 2020 when the pandemic hit, I had gone to LA to go do a shoot. And when I came back, I got incredibly sick. I remember going into the office the day after coming back, and like I had this weird pain in my back. I fell at the door. My buddy Matthew, he drove me to the hospital where I got some x-rays and stuff. And they were like, it looks like you have, pneumonia, but you don't have pneumonia. You don't have the flu, but we're going to send you home. So I go home, and this is when like they were talking about coronavirus all over the media and shit. And my boss at the time, he was like, hey man, they're saying to quarantine yourself for like 10 to 14 days. So just work from home for like 2 weeks and then we'll figure this all out. All right, cool. After a few days, I got better, but I still stayed home. The day that I was going to go into the office, that night before, California locked down. And so all of our shoots canceled. Uh, I had caught up on all of my work because I was working from home. I had nothing. I had nothing to do. All I had were my cameras, my lights, and my talent. And I went out, bought some food, and said, I'm going to start making food content for the internet. And it just seemed to work from there. But so I've always had this background in video production, which kind of helped me to getting that process. So as you go along and you try things out, you'll develop that process that just makes it easy. So as soon as you turn everything on, you turn the mics on, turn the lights on, you just know exactly what you get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, for sure. Way to really apply the skills that you had to the time that you were in, because that was such a weird time period for kind of everybody worldwide. And I think that gave birth to a lot of these creators and gave us all these new opportunities that you are now taking advantage of, and you are able to build this whole network.
I think most people started their social media journeys during COVID. It was the Wild West on TikTok at the time. Holy shit. Posting videos, um, man, they used to go viral easily. Things have changed, obviously, and TikTok and cannabis content. Yeah, it's touchy. One of my favorite cannabis creators on TikTok, his name is Stoner Gump. Dude is fucking hilarious. But he gets by calling cannabis broccoli, and he teaches how to make broccoli infused recipes. So check him out if you get a chance. He's got a book on Amazon right now. It's like one of their best sellers. It's wild. Uh, but yeah, TikTok and mentioning anything cannabis is very, I don't know. It's difficult. It doesn't it. Hopefully, with this whole ban, and if they sell to a U.S. company, being a U.S. company, that maybe they'll be easier on cannabis, kind of like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. They're a little bit more friendly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping so, because that's what I noticed. I had a pretty dominant cannabis page when the PA medical market here opened, and now I can't post anything on it. I can post, but it's not going to go anywhere. It doesn't have any outreach. So I think it's really strange how they block you from that just for cannabis. Maybe it's an age thing, but you don't see that on any other substance, alcohol,
Yeah.
even pharmaceutical wise, block on social media. Which, if you're going to do it, at least make it neutral, and don't allow one over the other. Especially, don't allow a holistic one to be blocked
You, you,
over
you know,
something that's not.
what blows my mind with social media right now, right? What we're talking about is age gating, and on YouTube, my content is immediately flagged for age gating, age restriction, and who this content can go to, and on Instagram, right? That doesn't seem to be the case, but for some people it is. For some people, they can't post cannabis content, other people can. But at the same time, I'm getting ads from Cannadips, the hemp doctor, right? Mood cannabis. And they're selling straight up fucking flower, man. Like,
Yes.
bro,
The only loophole of that is they're advertising under a hemp. So with the hemp and the way that laws are written with THCA, if you are able to get yourself under that loophole, maybe you will dodge some of those shadow bans or some of those restrictions. But to everyone that doesn't know, THCA is normal. It's weed.
Here we go.
Um,
That's hemp.
don't.
That's THCA right there. People act like
Yes.
THCA
Yeah.
has like never been around. It's always been here. You just heat it up
Well,
and now it's THC.
yes. Yes. Yeah. Look at your packaging. Compare your packaging um, from your stores to maybe some of these products, and you'll realize it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Fortunately, I'll say fortunately, companies are able to optimize on that, and people are able to get cannabinoids at their doorstep, which I think is awesome. What I don't think is awesome is holding a cool creator like you back when
Yeah.
we all are doing the same thing.
Especially if like these platforms are going to take the ad dollars from, these kinds of companies that are getting you to the same place that my food or someone else's food will get you to. It's fucked up. It's bullshit. They're profiting off of what they're slapping your hands on, right? Like they're telling you to get
Yeah,
away, get in the corner, but then they're taking the money from the other guys that should probably be in the corner. I love that they're able to market it. I just think that if you're going to allow paid marketing, you need to allow the plant, period. That's just what it
100%.
is. Because half of these companies, they're just calling hemp runts, hemp runts,
Yeah,
hemp blue dream. Get out of here. So it's blue dream. It's runts, right? The same shit you're getting at the dispensary, right? It's the same thing,
it is.
So
It is.
it's just it blows my mind that we're in these times, but I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic. I think we're around the corner from mass adoption, mass legalization, and it's then it'll be a good time.
I think it'll be a great time. And I think it's really cool that we are able to have these loopholes with these THCA products because it does allow these smaller shops that maybe wouldn't prevail in such a state required license market. A lot of these companies are monopolizing cannabis and they are changing laws to make them being the only ones who can control it. And that eliminates the smaller, maybe family owned farm or small entrepreneur who just started his own CBD company with his home grow. Everything's all natural. And, that's something we all need to get educated on and start making sure that the people that we elect, these lawmakers, it starts favoring us with cannabis. And,
Yeah,
and that all comes down to education,
yeah,
which we will all do. As creators, especially on this platform, that's the goal, is to all come together. And if you're not about certain things, I think it's just cool to be pro cannabis. It's not going to hurt you. It's
yeah.
going to enhance a lot of people's lifestyle, and we got to come together with that.
And
And
people
for the
need to
people and for the
realize
creators.
too, like, with cannabis, you don't have to like get stoned out of your mind. You can target a specific mood that you want to be in a level. Um, I'd like people to know that you're watching my stuff, and although it seems like I'm having fun eating 100 milligrams, that's me. That's for me. That's what does it for me. 2 milligrams might do it for you. So if you're looking for a good time, just take it slow. And if you want to cook with cannabis and really like dial in those milligrams so you can have a good time and enjoy it, I'd recommend cooking with hash over flour. you know um, Less of that plant taste. It's easier to kind of infuse into things. And doing a little bit of math and looking at the labels of, like, say, some ice water hash, you can really understand the dosage of something. Like right now, I have one that's 600 something milligrams minus, I think about 20% for decarbing and cooking a little bit. I'm going to be left with like 400 and something. Divide that by the number of teaspoons or tablespoons that you have um, in your fat, and I think that's a good place to start. It'll give you an idea of the dosage. It's easier that way. You can do the same thing with the plants, but when you strain it, I think you're losing more than just 20%. I think 'cause some of that
Mm.
THC is not going to get converted, and some that did get converted is going to stay with the plant after steeping it for 3 to 4 hours in, say, butter, coconut oil, or olive oil, whatever. Um, So I think you just get, a more potent, precise, and tastier product when cooking with hash.
Yeah, 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 and smoking with hash too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, what's your temperature on your Puffco?
So depending on what it is, I like to taste something. I'll try it around the blue, just to get the taste.
Yeah,
Um, and if I want like a really nice burn, I'll go green or maybe sometimes red. Yeah, I have done the white, and I have
it's
hit the
hard.
Easter egg. If anybody knows about the white Easter egg, if you hit it on white mode on the Puffcos, and I believe you hit your button 5 times, this is on the proxy. I don't know if it's on the peak
Uh,
or the pens, but yeah, you hit it on white mode and you hit that button 5 times, and you buckle up, and you exhale. Yeah, let's
do
see if your peak can do it.
yeah. Do we have time for a science experiment? All right.
Yeah, we have time for a science experiment.
White mode. Two, three, four,
White
five.
mode. Yeah, I think it just stays white for the peak.
Let's
But
see.
for the proxy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it needs to charge. What a bummer.
One, two, three, four, five. Okay, it
There you
changes
go.
colors.
Yeah, you're in like a party mode now.
So what does this do? Is this like a fat hit? Oh, here we go.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
supposed to be fatty hits.
woo!
Yeah, yeah,
That's a good time. That's a good time.
yeah. That's a good. Yeah, that's a good time, man.
I
That's a
like
good
to,
time.
I like to stay around green.
Yes,
Green is my temp.
green, green's good. If you get some really nice product, blue's great for the taste,
Hell yeah.
which I love. And what I love about these is I'm able to take a little hit, and I don't know if everyone's gonna appreciate this, but I can kind of let it down for a little bit, and I can reheat it, and
Yeah.
I don't mind doing that. I don't mind doing that. I think I hit it at a low enough temp where it's not completely converted. So it's nice.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. The
Shout out
blue's a staple.
Puffco.
Yeah. Shout out Puffco. Came.
Shout out Puffco.
They need to send you a new one now.
Yeah, I wish not sponsored or anything, but I am a any vape product that I have used with cannabis besides the packs is Puffco. I swear by Puffco. I recommend Puffco in all the shops I've worked in. I've tried to get Puffco in those stores. I think it's a great product. Great
Absolutely.
product. So jumping back into the cooking, you kind of broke down how you will get into creating, and then we got broke down on dosaging and everything like that. Now, do you obviously you have a YouTube channel, the
Yeah.
CannaBBQ on YouTube? On your YouTube, do you have any how-to videos or any video breakdowns that maybe our listeners could go and refer to after the show to look up?
Yeah, so my YouTube right now, I'm starting to release a ton of new videos. I've been working for months, just creating new content, and so right now I have, how to make my sour diesel hot honey. If you can't get sour diesel, just use a different strain. Do the math based on the strain for dosage. But there's a how to make my hot honey. I also released a video on last Sunday. We made bacon jam burgers, completely infused. We made canna mayo. We made infused bacon jam. The burgers were incredible. But every week I'm going to be releasing two videos on Wednesday and Sundays. And
Nice.
some of those videos are going to be how to. Some of those videos are just like how to infuse certain things, and other videos are going to be how to infuse like the meal. How to just having fun with it. Like we make pizza. We do a wake and bake breakfast where we start with an infused coffee, and in that video we dosed everything out. Like, okay, we're going to start with 10 milligrams in the coffee, and then let's make some biscuits and gravy, and we infuse the gravy. You know, uh,
Wow.
so there's going to be a lot of how tos. So mixed in with how to make like biscuits and gravy or a burger or tri-tip sandwiches and stuff like that, mixed into all that barbecue is going to be the how to's of how I make my butter, how I make my oil, how I make infused salt, infused sugar, etc. So there's going to be a lot of that on
Yeah.
my YouTube.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
Hell yeah.
Not just for everybody, also for me.
I
I
do want
feel
to
like there
say,
is a
sorry, I do want to say with my infused salt and infused sugar, um,
yeah, man.
I'm going to teach people how to make it, and I just want people to know that it's not going to do much because sometimes you'll use a lot of sugar, sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll use a lot of salt, sometimes you won't. And you have to be mindful of the temperatures that you're cooking at so you don't cook off the THC that's attached to the salt or the sugar because the way you make it is with an alcohol tincture, and alcohol's it's extracting. So when you soak it into the sugar and the salt, the alcohol evaporates, but the THC is left behind. You lose some of it. You're going to lose some of it, but THC is left behind. Will it get you high? Yes, but it's more of like the little bits you infuse along the way add up, right? So if I put, a quarter milligram of THC through salt in the food, but I put 5 milligrams here, well, now it's five and a quarter. I know it's not much, but every little bit adds up. So you can infuse food little by little along the way. It doesn't have to be in just one thing that you use. It doesn't have to always be, just the sauce or what
Oh
have
yeah.
you. So I just want people to know that, so don't think you're going to make a ton of salt and sugar and then get stoned out of your mind. It's the sugar may, because you'll make something that takes a lot of sugar and you might have a smaller tolerance. But yeah, they're just little things to, infuse along the way while you're cooking. That's the way I view it, at least.
Yeah, I think that's fun. I think that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's you're doing a little bit along the way, and you're kind of minimizing that taste too, depending on how you make your stuff. So I make my tinctures with flour. When I infuse the salt or the sugar, you don't really have that plant taste, that earthy taste at all. It's there, it's
Yeah.
very small, but um, if you can infuse that way just a little bit more, you could take away from an earthier butter or oil that you're cooking with, if that makes sense. It's just, another way to infuse. Little bits go a long way.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's awesome. And I think that ties in again on what you're doing with not just infusing your basic items. And people are definitely going to benefit from watching these videos and just enhance their fun in the kitchen, which I think is awesome. With this cooking experience and obviously infusion experience, is there anything that you really look forward to making infused wise? Like, do you have any sauces that you really enjoy making? Maybe some different meals that you and your wife like to enjoy on? What's your favorite personally?
So my favorite food is pupusas. I'm half Salvadorian and I grew up eating pupusas all my life. So that's one thing that I'm looking forward to infusing. Infusing the masa, maybe infusing the hot sauce that goes on it. I think there's so many different ways, especially the curtido, right? Because the curtido is made with cabbage, onions, jalapeno, a little bit of vinegar, oregano, and salt, obviously. And I think adding in maybe a gram of ground up activated flour would be a nice addition to that. So there's vinegar and there's also actual oregano in the curtido. So I think those flavors, I haven't tried it yet, but I think adding in maybe a half gram to a gram of activated flour with the oregano, I don't think you'll taste it very much, but you're still eating the activated flour, so it's an infusion. I think that would be interesting to put on top of the pupusa. Have you had pupusas before?
I never have, but I want to now.
So,
Maybe the first time I try it is your infused one.
hey, it could be. It could be. If you come out to California, I'll make them for sure. But the masa, it's think of like a corn tortilla, right? The dough that makes a corn
Hmm.
tortilla. It's similar,
Hmm.
and then you fill it with cheese and meat, and then you grill it. It gets these nice grill marks. The cheese kind of oozes out the side. You rip it open. You grab this cabbage mixture with some hot sauce, and it's just it's so good. It's so good. Especially my favorite is with pork and cheese. It's called revuelta. My Spanish is no good, but that's what it is. Um, so that's something I'm looking forward to infusing. It's a childhood meal that I grew up on. Um, yeah, I think maybe I'll do that soon. But yeah, that's something I'd like to do next.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds amazing. That sounds awesome. With your YouTube and obviously working with all these different cannabinoids and cannabis, do you ever work with anybody or brands that can maybe get a hold of you? I think it's a great way for brands to have a fun way to promote as well. And obviously, you are working with the product that they would be supplying. So, if
Sure.
anybody could get a hold of you, how would they get a hold of you? And are you currently working with anybody, or have you worked with anybody super cool that you'd like to talk about?
So yeah, so recently I've gotten to connect with heavy hitters. I use some of their products in some of those ASMR videos. Those are the gummies that I've been mostly eating. Um, they've reached out to me. They've hooked me up with some products. So I'm excited to possibly work with them in the future. Recently, I did a video with Beard Bros Farms. They have a line of CBD tinctures and RSO products. They also have an online publication, talks about the cannabis industry. It's fantastic. I'm a daily reader of it. But anyhow, we had Jeff from the Beard Bros over here. It's hilarious. So I'm pretty short. I'm about 5'5". This guy, he's 6'5". He's standing right next to me, and I look at him and I ask him, "How tall are you?" He says 6'5", and I was like, "Yeah, me too." You know,
Nice.
but he
That's
came
it.
over. Yeah, he came over to hang out. We made some chimichurri sandwich. We made some tri-tip sandwiches with a chimichurri aioli, and we infused the
Mm,
chimichurri aioli with what did I have? I had a hash avocado oil that we used as the base. We used some of my infused salt, um, egg. Obviously, it's an aioli, so I'll just break down how we made the aioli. Egg, about a cup of infused hash oil, so avocado oil infused with activated hash, um, some salt, infused salt, a little bit of vinegar, and then I made a chimichurri mixture. I took
mm.
some of that chimichurri mixture, so the fresh herbs and everything, put that into the aioli. I blitzed the hell out of it. Then I mixed in a little Jack Herer terpenes for that like piney, earthy flavor, and then we put in
Yeah.
the Beard Bros tincture, a CBD. It was a 20-to-1. It had this minty
Nice.
taste to it. So we had this chimichurri aioli that was like this, not unpleasantly earthy, but this earthy minty chimichurri aioli on this tri-tip sandwich, and it was infused. It was fucking delicious. You know, um,
Wow.
we grilled up a tri-tip, sliced it pretty thin. You know, Chipotle roll, our aioli, arugula, tomato, infused salt, um, our tri-tip, provolone. Melted that with a like blowtorch and shit. It was a good time. We sat back and kind of hung out for a little bit. They called me after they left, and they were like, "Hey, man, we're pretty fucking lit."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. Collaborating with Beard Bros on that. Dude is awesome. Great guy.
Yeah. Shout out Beard Bros, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Now, with that, man, when it comes to that, how are these people able to get a hold of you?
Oh yeah. So
I'd like to, put you on my stuff and promote you a little bit. How are these brands going to be able to get a
yeah.
hold of you?
So on TikTok, I'm still known as Woodfire and Whiskey. On Instagram, it's the CannaBBQ. YouTube, the CannaBBQ. Snapchat, the CannaBBQ. Twitter, or X, I should say, the CannaBBQ. Threads, the CannaBBQ. So everywhere is the CannaBBQ except for TikTok. That would have made it a lot easier. So, but TikTok is probably going to go bye bye and get sold to another company. So who knows what's happening with that? But if you need to find me on TikTok, it's Woodfire and Whiskey. Everywhere else, the CannaBBQ.
That's it. You heard it from the man himself. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Quick little one for your commute. Hope you got to tune in while tuning out and learn some fun facts about edibles with our man, CannaBBQ. See you next time on Terp Trends.